Gentlemen, welcome to the regular February meeting of the Concord Zoning Board of Adjustment. We will follow our usual procedure this evening, which is to say I will call the cases in the order in which they appear in the agenda. We'll ask the appellant to come forward, be sworn in and seated in the chairs to my right, and provide us with whatever testimony they would like us to hear. We are very appreciative if they can confine that testimony to 10 minutes. After the appellants have spoken, we will ask for them to step down, and we will solicit testimony from anyone who is in favor of the appeal and or anyone who is in opposition to the appeal. We ask that those people confine their testimony to a 5-minute interval. Following that, if there's been anything offered that seems to bear factual clarification, we will offer that opportunity to the appellant who will have the chance to speak to clarify facts, but not to offer new arguments prior to our closing the public testimony portion of the hearing. We will then check in with code enforcement to see if there is any comment from their office. Actually, we do that before we close the testimony portion of the hearing so that the appellants can respond to anything they hear from code enforcement. Normally, the board will act on each case prior to moving on to the next one. There are a couple of items that I should mention to you before we get started. One is we only have a 4-member board tonight. We had a last-minute cancellation due to an illness in the family of one of our board members. We can hear your case if you are here to be heard with a 4-member board, and it will still require a vote of 3 people for any motion to carry. If you choose to have your case heard this evening, that will not be considered grounds for requesting a rehearing, or you can defer your case to be heard by a 5-member board at a later meeting. Is there anyone here who would prefer to defer their case? All right, I'll assume then that everyone who comes up understands that it's a 4-member board, and that's the way it'll go. The other thing I should mention is that the first case on the agenda tonight, 0422, we're going to open and immediately adjourn. They have asked to be continued, so there will be no testimony on that case tonight. So if you're here for that one, you needn't stay. And the other case we will not be hearing, although it is listed on the agenda, is 0822, 122 Pleasant Street. That case has been withdrawn and will be resubmitted for a later agenda. So if you're here for either of those, you needn't stay. The first case this evening then is case 0522, 35 Timberline Drive, RO Open Space Residential District, property owners Sean and Elizabeth Reese. The applicants wish to create a 684 square foot accessory dwelling unit within an existing single-family dwelling with no expansion of the existing footprint of the structure to include added cooking facilities, along with a family room, bedroom, and bathroom, and requests a special exception under Article 2824K, Table of Accessory Uses, Accessory Use A13, to construct in accordance with the supplemental standards contained in 28552, single-family detached dwellings with 1 accessory dwelling unit. For that little bitty space, we have all those words.
Chris, are we going to open and recess, make a motion to open and recess that first case first?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Are the Reeses here? Please come forward.
Do you want them, or they gave me permission to speak on their behalf? I'm the contractor. Which one?
Anyone? All of you can come up. We'll swear you all in. Do I hear a motion to open case 0422?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to recess it until our next meeting? That will be the March meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That takes care of 0422, and we will now move on to 0522.
So hi, I'm Brian Larson. I work for Black Dog Builders Total Basement Finishing, and we're the contractors working on this job. We've already applied for a permit and got permission to build out everything else, but they're building this for her mom.
Can I swear you all in?
Oh, sorry.
Swear to tell the truth and nothing but.
Yes, please. Yeah. Sorry.
And it's Mr. and Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Okay, carry on. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Again, I'm Brian Larson, B-R-Y-A-N, L-A-R-S-O-N. Working with the building commissioner and the building department downstairs, They gave us permission to build out the basement for just part of the house, but her mom really wants to be able to, occasionally bake cookies, maybe make a small meal and things like that, so we have to come before you to get the stove. So that's the main thing that we're adding in, is changing the snack bar area into a stove, and a full kitchen, and all the documentation is there, all the plans are there. Again, we believe, according to the building commissioner, that we met Ernest. We meet all the criteria for it. It's just that we have to come before you and get permission to do it.
We've all reviewed your application. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, we can answer any questions that you have. I'm not sure what additional information you need, sorry.
Questions from the board?
No.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm pretty clear. So technically, this is an ADU?
When once you add in the stove, then it becomes an
Okay,
ADU,
so-
yes.
But your interactions with code enforcement, at
I'm
that point,
sorry. Say it again.
when you pulled a permit, it wasn't it was not for an ADU, but because of the stove, you have to come here to get the...
Correct, so we did the building permit, and then
Uh-huh.
we came back in with a second permit because of just working through to start construction, because even if we can't get the ADU, then we'll do everything but the stove, and it'll just be part of their home, and
Okay, I understand now, thanks.
I assume you're going to have some counters in the same?
Yep,
and so on.
yep. Yeah, it's been approved as a snack bar area, so more like a family room with a wet bar. That's what it's been approved for right now, but,
I see.
again. And it's a full walkout basement and with an egress window going into the bedroom area.
But if you fry an egg, it becomes a major municipal planning issue.
Yes. My questions have been answered. I couldn't figure out if it had started work and then there was a code issue, but yeah, it makes sense that
No,
you...
we didn't start work until we'd
No,
already
no,
gone through
it makes sense that that's what you're doing. You want to make it more of a fully functional kitchen, and which makes it an accessory dwelling unit.
Right.
So, no problem.
Where's the access to this unit?
So the access to the unit, if you look on the drawings, and the part that's labeled kitchen, can I stand up and just
Yeah,
point it out?
Sure, of course.
So this is a slider, this is a full walkout across the back here. There's gonna be access in here. This is a legal egress window that fire can come in and an occupant can come out. And then over here, this is a walkout door also. And then there's also coming down the stairs here, there's egress into the second floor that comes into the kitchen, and there's an exit out the back here and an exit out the front around the corner. And then obviously coming from this unit, they could have had to all the way out that way.
Okay, thank you.
So
there's-
you're
there's
eliminating the stair that currently goes down to the basement then?
No, this stair, here will come down to will still be access up and down.
Oh, I see.
The utility space over here will be accessed from both the upstairs, and this is like a shared laundry room, this is Sean's workshop. And then this will be the entrance into what will be the ADU.
I see. The stairs, the ink is very faint on the stair,
Sorry.
so I missed it.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Got it.
Nice design, did you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll save the opinions for the discussion. Anything else you'd like us to know?
I think that covers it. Thank you for taking the time to hear us.
Very good, thank you. That'll do it.
All right.
Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard in opposition to it? Any comments from code enforcement?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. How does this look to you, Mr. Wallner?
Well, you look at the prerequisite findings for special exception, and it looks like it meets all the requirements, A through I.
Jim?
Yep, I agree, it's just another example of the right approach on ADUs, so I support it.
No concerns, no questions.
I agree with my colleagues. Would anyone care to make a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is, the special exception is granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Our next case this evening is also a special exception, I believe, for an ADU. 0622, 8 Heather Lane, RS Single Family Residential District, property owner Dale Vincent. The applicant wishes to create a 745 square foot accessory dwelling unit, ADU, with an existing single-family dwelling, with no expansion of the existing footprint of the structure to include a kitchen, main living room, bedroom, and bathroom, and requests a special exception from Article 2824K, Table of Accessory Uses, Accessory Use A13, to construct in accordance with the CUP supplemental standards contained in Article 28552, Single-Family Detached Dwellings, with one accessory dwelling unit, ADU. Do you swear to tell the truth? Would you identify yourselves for the record as you testify, please?
My name is Dale Vincent, and I'm the owner of 8 Heather Lane.
Would you like to give us a little bit of detail about what you'd like to do?
Yes, my son lives with me. He has for quite a while, and I suspect he will forever. And my house was not built with the expectation of having more people in it. So in the basement, half my basement, I would like to do a bedroom, bathroom, living room, and a kitchen. The kitchen used to be my plant room, but obviously I've lost that. And I want to have him to have a full kitchen, including a stove, because he actually does cook. Sometimes he cooks salmon, and it's really tasty. But it would be really hard if he didn't have a stove. Doesn't change the size of the house. The access is, he has outside access, sliding doors, as well as lots of appropriate sized windows. And then there's a staircase to come upstairs and come out through my house.
Very good. Questions from the board?
Don't have any.
I'm good, thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
Just that I really like approval.
I can understand that. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Swear to tell the truth and nothing but.
I do.
May we have your name, please?
Sure. It's Jay Schumacher.
What would you like us to know?
My wife and I own 7 Heather Lane across the street. We've been across the street since it was built, I think, in 2013, and we have no concerns. It seems like a very nice thing to do.
Very good, thank you. Any questions from the board? Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chair, you do have one more letter of support right there on the board.
Is that, do I have a hard copy of that?
I believe you do, but it's right there if you don't. Okay. Well, we have just gotten, it just says as the direct abutter, we support this use, and it will not impact neighborhood or traffic flow in any way. It's from Greg and Lisa Marceau from 10 Heather Lane.
Very good. Thank you.
Is Heather Lane South End? Off of South Street?
Yeah. Yes.
Any comments, other comments from code enforcement?
No.
Nope. Well, that will declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed, and I'll start with Ms. Scott and ask her thoughts on this case.
I think it meets all the criteria for a special exception, and I have no concerns about it.
Yep, I agree.
Ditto.
I also agree. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The special exception is granted. You're welcome.
Welcome.
I have an ADU question while we're waiting for the next case. It's, Ernie might know, but does an ADU get a separate mailing address?
No,
No, okay.
it doesn't have to. I mean, it might be able to, but they don't have to do that.
Okay.
The next case is case 722, 10 Integra Drive, which is an undeveloped lot in the IN Industrial District. The property owner is Barbara Mariano, LLC. The applicants are seeking variances to Article 2827J, or I, excuse me, Table of Principal Uses, use J1, to allow the sale or rental of motor vehicles other than construction equipment where such use is prohibited. And Article 28537D, outside storage of materials and inventory, performance standards, Section D, limits the amount of inventory based on the size of a building, and because the building is because no building is contemplated?
Oh, right, there is no building contemplated.
Okay, so the "the" should be a no.
Right.
I get a sticker for my helmet. Catching that. Because no building is contemplated, this section would not allow any inventory storage. Article 28519, motor vehicle and recreational equipment sales, to allow outdoor display for the sale of or leasing of motor vehicles on a lot in the CH Highway Commercial District, which abuts the principal use located at 146 Manchester Street. And Article 28716, parking and storage of unregistered vehicles, to allow the parking and storage of unregistered vehicles inventory where such use is prohibited. Swear to tell the truth and nothing but.
I do.
Would you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Amy Manzelli from BCM Environmental and Land Law, here for the applicant.
Hi, and Jeff Lewis from North Point Engineering.
All
What
right.
would you like us to know?
Okay, so I want to go over the backdrop here. Barbara Mariano is the sole owner of the applicant here tonight, Barbara Mariano LLC. You're probably all familiar with the Bob Mariano dealership on Manchester Street. Barbara is the widow of Bob. Barbara, ever since Bob passed away, has been divesting herself of the ownership interests that she inherited. She, in fact, is not the owner of the Mariano dealership there. That is owned and operated by someone else, although she still owns the underlying real estate there. And she also owns 10 Integra Drive, which you can see is immediately adjacent to 146, which is the top left lot there cut off on the plan. So Barbara is selling 10 Integra Drive to 3 different existing business owners that are adjacent to 10 Integra Drive so that they can all expand their existing successful businesses. So we've got a couple moving pieces here, and this variance request is one of them. Another one, of course, is a lot line adjustment application that we have filed with the planning board. We expect to be on the planning board agenda coming up later this month on the 16th. We filed that last month. So that's sort of the backdrop of what's going on and what brings us here today for this specific variance request. So this specific application, what we're talking about here is the Subaru dealership, which, yeah, you want to just point that out? Thank you, Jeff. So that's the Subaru dealership, now known as the Capital City Subaru dealership. That dealership is planning to purchase a portion of 10 Integra Drive. The problem is the zoning district boundary goes right between these 2 lots. And in the commercial highway district, these dealership uses are allowed. And in the industrial district, which is where 10 Integra Drive is situated, these dealership uses are not allowed. So that's what brings us here for the variance request. And the chair went through the 4 particular variances, so I'm not going to repeat those. But essentially, they are what will allow this portion of 10 Integra Drive to be used as the expanded Subaru dealership. I'm just going to hand it off to Jeff. If you want to put the plan back up, then he'll just go over the details there.
You can just leave it here for a second.
Okay.
I'm just going to kind of reiterate that real quick, and there's not a lot to talk about other than this is the parcel, obviously. You can kind of see on this corner up here, this is the Mariano dealership, and this is kind of this is the area that they had been using, kind of an expansion of their parking lot, and this is the area that will become part of this lot as part of the lot line adjustment plan before the planning board. There's a little strip over here you can see is being used by the neighbor over here. They'll become part of their lot. And then the remainder of the lot here is going to become part of the Subaru lot. So if you go to the site plan now, you can see how we've kind of broken that up. So this is it. This is the area we're talking about today, which is just that portion of the lot that's going to be going to the Subaru dealership. So the purpose of us today is just to demonstrate how they'll likely be using that as this storage lot, accessory to the primary use over here. I mean, eventually it'd just be an expansion of that lot once the lot line is removed. They likely will end up having a connection through here. They'll have to come back before planning board for this and demonstrate how that's all going to happen and integrate with their existing use. But right now we're focused on just making sure that this is an allowable use, getting the variance for the use on the lot, maintaining any other requirements we have for zoning. We do have a commercial use adjacent to us over here, so we know there'll need to be some screening there. There's a required 10-foot buffer there that they'll have to maintain. It'll be a fenced-in parking lot, but that's basically just a paved parking lot. We did have a more intense design on this, drainage design and whatnot. It's all, as you probably all know up there, it's all sandy soil up there, so they'll end up having a subsurface infiltration system on this when they get to it, but that'll all come as part of the planning board process. So it's pretty straightforward. Integra Drive over here, it's interesting if you drive out Integra Drive. I mean, it's just essentially a parking lot that's gonna be out there. It's pretty compatible with everything else that's out there right now. We've got the self-storage across the street right here. We got this. You can see it very good on the aerial if you want to look at that again. That's basically it. Pretty straightforward parking lot.
Yeah, who was that to the left of the property line or west of the property line?
This property over here. That's we'll call it the Lefebvre property.
Yeah, Mark Lefebvre.
So it's an old automotive, it was Gary's Wrecker Service, I think, or something at one point, this building. And then he built this building back 15 years ago, maybe?
It was John's Wrecker Service before he moved out to Sheep Davis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he added this building, which is just it's basically industrial bays in there. So you can see what that looks like. And yeah, that's the life storage across the street. And then of course Pitco's going at the end of the road now. That's the new development that'll be coming out there.
And all of these, it's worth noting too, these dealerships now are challenged. You know the Buick dealership across the street there, the mega dealership now. The Subaru, Dan O'Brien, Mariano, they are space limited and they are challenged to stay in compliance with their franchise agreements. They really need this little bit of expanded space that these transactions will get them. So,
You're not consolidating the lots, correct?
what do you mean by consolidating?
The lot that fronts on Manchester Street will not be consolidated with the lot that fronts on Integra Drive, or will be.
Can you go back to the?
It's not as part of this application right now. So
Right.
the way that's working out is that, go back to the site plan.
Yeah.
So this strip right here will be consolidated with this piece. This will be consolidated with this piece. Right now, this will be the remaining piece, lot of record, 10 Integra Drive. I don't know, once Subaru acquires this, if they'll get rid of this lot line. That's what you're asking about? I'm not sure if that's what they're planning to do or not.
Yeah, we are not currently contemplating that will happen. But technically, I think the term we want to use is merged. So this sliver here, what we call the Lefebvre sliver, that will be merged with the Lefebvre lot. That lot line will go away. The Mariano portion, Jeff, if you just want to point out that top acre there, yeah, that line will go away and that Mariano dealership lot will get bigger. But this chunk that we're looking for the variance on tonight will remain its own lot, only with frontage on Integra Drive. Does that answer the question?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm happy to go over one by one through the variance criteria. I know some boards prefer the applicants to sort of read through the application, but I also heard the 10-minute plea.
We've all read the application, so it's
Yeah.
not necessary to go through it word for word. But if you would, at least for the benefit of this board member, talk to us a little bit about what the peculiarities of the lot are that suggest that a variance is appropriate here.
Sure. The primary peculiarity of the lot is where it's situated with respect to that zoning district boundary line. As we all know, when those zoning district boundary lines are drawn, in some areas it's purposeful, in some areas it's a little bit arbitrary. As far as we can tell, there's no reason why an automotive dealership is permissible, on 146 Manchester Street, for example, but impermissible on 10 Integra Drive. So that condition of 10 Integra Drive, of having it not be permissible for it to be, have an auto dealership operated on it, is one of the primary distinctions why it makes sense for a variance to be granted in this case. The other thing that I think is important to note, and I heard Jeff touch on it earlier, is that this is just an extremely sensible, compatible, and logical use of this lot, given the development in this area. And we think that that justifies, more than justifies, issuance of the variances that we're looking for. Let me make sure I'm covering everything we put in our application. But we also wanted to talk, I should mention that at least some of these restrictions, their purposes don't apply at all to what we're trying to do here. At least some of these are meant to prevent junkyards, the inadvertent creation of a junkyard, especially the restriction against the storage of unregistered vehicles. That's primarily what that type of limitation gets at. That is not the kind of dealership that the Bob Mariano dealership operates. It's not a junkyard masquerading as a dealership. It is a legitimate, profitable, successful auto dealership business. So I wanted to mention that as well.
Ernie, what is the zone that or perhaps Ms. Manzelli, you can tell me, what is the zone that the Subaru dealership is in?
It's a commercial highway, so all of the lots that front on Manchester Street are the commercial highway zone, I believe.
It would make sense, that's what they all are, because that's what they all are.
Yeah. Yeah, the part that I was surprised when I first was brought on here is it makes sense that fronting, the Route 3 would be commercial highway, and then you tuck the industrial behind that. But I was surprised to learn that a use such as automotive dealerships and automotive repairs would not also be allowed in that industrial zone. I thought that surprised me a little bit. But.
I can't
Chris,
tell you why
I'm gonna-
that is.
Right.
Interrupt, because I have a question along the same lines. It looks to me from when looking at on this inserted map is that 2 of the new lots will front on Integra Drive. The third lot, which I think would be the Mariano lot, doesn't seem to have frontage.
Can you put up the site plan, please?
Yeah, there are not 2 new lots.
Yeah.
So there's no new lots. This sliver here is going to be merged with this parcel. And
Okay.
then this here is gonna be merged with that parcel there, so there's no new lots created. This
Right.
is just what's left over. So 10 Integra Drive is just shrinking down. Essentially
So
what's happening.
where's the frontage of the 3 parcels that you're talking about?
Well, the frontage of this parcel is all the way over here on 10 Integra, on 12 Integra.
Uh-huh.
The parcel of this one up here is 146 Manchester Street, way up on Manchester Street. And then this is 10 Integra, which has got 200 feet of frontage on Integra Drive.
Right, you can see it right here.
Yeah, so here's,
Okay.
So the existing piece, I guess,
It's
comes
changing
down
shape.
here,
Yep.
has a little tiny frontage.
the,
It meets the zoning requirement for frontage in its
But-
newly configured shape.
But it's, as it is, I think your question is, do we have a lot of frontage in the
That's what I'm
existing
asking,
situation?
right.
And it sounds like we do not,
have what?
a lot with no frontage.
Oh, no.
No, we don't have that.
Everything has frontage to meet zoning requirements
Right.
and lot area, yeah.
So they did this.
They're all conforming lots, it's just a use.
That guy there is the frontage.
Okay, and this exists already, is that what it is?
Yeah, this is a new line.
Okay.
This is a line that's being removed.
I think it-
Other questions from the board?
I guess I have a question about the unregistered vehicle part. That's really I mean, conceivably, if this is a standalone piece of property that we're dealing with, and it got sold again, technically then it could become a junkyard, couldn't it? Since it's not merged with the Subaru lot, so technically as a standalone lot, once we approve all of these, if we approve all of these, it's conceivable it could become a junkyard, since we're allowing
Is there a
unregistered
reason
vehicles.
it's not being merged? Because that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Because it
I-
technically could.
right.
There's no reason that
Yep.
it couldn't just be, because you're not even attaching it to the
Right.
upper lot. You're not making that an access. You're making
Mm-hmm.
everyone come out Integra. So there's nothing to stop.
Yeah,
If-
I think that planning is going to want to have more control and say over that in terms of traffic circulation. So I think the better solution would be a condition, so long as it's operated as a commercial dealership. I see your point, I think it's highly unlikely, because you'd have to think about, this real estate is not cheap. We're in the process of negotiating the purchase price right now, and I can tell you, it's obscenely expensive. The whole deal is going for millions of dollars, believe it or not, for these little tiny lots. So I don't know who's gonna pay that kind of money and operate a junkyard, but technically, you're correct. So I see your point, and I would suggest that a condition of approval would solve that. I'm not sure that the buyer of this lot, the newly configured lot, would want to have to require merger with the top lot. They might want to sell it for a different purpose if their business ever contracts. Not that they want to operate a junkyard, they just want to maintain business flexibility.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we could put a condition that all unregistered vehicles would be less than 10 years old or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that might be a go-around.
I'm sure code enforcement would love that. They'd be out there every day checking the.
Exactly. That's-
11-year-old truck here, we got a problem.
Yeah.
right.
I was,
Sorry.
I mean,
Gary.
the nature of the problem is the way the franchise agreements are evolving.
Yeah.
That manufacturers want the inventory stored on Manchester Street, not in Detroit.
Right.
Or wherever Subarus are
Right.
manufactured.
So you may recall we had to deal with this for
Banks.
Banks Chevrolet.
Yeah,
And in that instance, the zoning board declined to issue the variances, and rather, or you can, or others can help me with this, rather, I think the city council acted to change the zoning to allow for it. Does that sound?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, we never acted on that.
Right. So, and I'm not suggesting necessarily, I mean, we do this tonight, but if this was zoned the same way, the lots that are on Manchester Street, that would resolve the problem, right? If they were in the commercial zone.
So we noted in our application, let me know if my information is wrong, we referenced case number 4313, Deval Realty Associates LP granting a variance to Article 28-716, parking and storage of unregistered vehicles.
At Banks? Is that at Banks?
With
that-
regard to the Banks Chevrolet dealership.
What year was that?
I don't,
The last two digits of the case number of the year.
that's, yeah, so 4313.
Yeah, that might have been to the old Saab dealership and not the larger, but I don't know for sure, I know. And not, as I said, I'm just trying to help
Yeah,
enforcement others remind me of how we dealt with it and that.
yeah.
I thought it was the Banks Collision Center where they're storing unregistered vehicles down there, right? Which is in a different zoning district.
On airport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
We
about.
did
Yeah,
have
we
that
did
as a
that too,
case, I
yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Which you granted the variance for unregistered vehicles associated with the Banks.
What's the case number again?
4313.
We can look that up in archives, can't we?
So that would be 2013?
2013, yeah.
So that's not the one you're thinking of, that was much more recent.
No, it was more recent than that, because
The
Banks
Banks
one.
one where the city council
yeah,
changed the.
'cause I was on that one.
Yeah, that was like last year, right?
Yeah.
Just 2020
So
maybe.
I understand the reasoning for this, and if you were telling me you were merging the lots, not a problem. But you're basically asking us to create an auto dealership lot that isn't attached to the mother lot that you're portraying, and that's just my concern, that at some point, someone could say, you know what, we're gonna sell this, and look at all these approvals that are here, and now it's not just a storage lot, it's now gonna be something else. And again, I'm sure that's not the intent, there's a lot of money, a lot of time has been put into this.
Yep.
And even if there was no connection piece between the two, if the lots were merged as part of the condition of the variance, my concerns would be alleviated, that somehow this isn't going to become something else.
Yeah, I do think that we could, tonight, come up with a condition of approval that would alleviate that. And I'm thinking it would be something like, that would be relatively easy to enforce, you know? So long as the two properties, well, first of all, so long as they could be merged or operated under common ownership. You know, if they are the same business, then that solves it,
I'm
right?
not sure we
No, it
have the
does-
power to do that, because the variance goes with the land, not with the use,
So common ownership
or the
is,
owner.
Yeah,
isn't gonna work.
So I don't know that we have the power to put that kind of condition on it. Because the principle behind our granting this is that there's something physical going on here that is one of the reasons
right.
for doing
No, I
it,
understand your point.
as opposed to who owns it and so forth. So I don't know that that condition would be something I could support anyway. I don't know that we can do it.
To that point, if the variance runs with the land, if they merge the parcels now, what would prevent them from subdividing it?
They'd have to go through the process though, but they'd have to do the process, and again, if that's a whole other issue if someone wants to do that.
I'm not sure, are there other uses that would define a junkyard other than the storage of unregistered vehicles that they would need? I'm not sure.
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I think the reason why this parcel is in this situation is that when they did the Integra Drive development, the idea, at City Hall anyway, was that this would be a certain type of industrial zone, and that it would not be a drive-by retail kind of arrangement. Whether or not it's appropriate to exclude certain things from that zone, that's actually not something the board has the power to change or to judge. We can only judge a specific case. But I think the reason it's different between the two lots is that it does face on Integra Drive, and it was intended to be part of that, that development, not part of the Manchester Street development. it's, you could say the lot is a bit of an orphan, but as I see it, it's not really. It's got frontage on Integra Drive, it's got a driveway on Integra Drive. It could be developed on Integra Drive under the terms of the current zoning. Whether or not that's totally reasonable, I
Yeah,
can see an argument against that, but.
Right, right. I mean, keeping in mind that the test for the variance is not, is there any other use under the sun that this could be put to? The test is the use being sought reasonable?
That's one of the tests,
One part of the test.
yeah.
And given what we've presented here tonight, the history of this use, this lot pretty much being vacant for a long time, off the city's official tax rolls, as a highest and best use proposition, and now really being in high demand by these existing businesses, we think justifies, approval for this variance.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Ms. Scott?
No.
No, only an observation, we're kind of stuck by Chris, but I also think that, not trying to kick the can back to the city council, but I think there was a general recognition that the way, we want auto dealerships all kind of on Manchester Street. As the industry is changing, the zoning should probably change, and that's what
Yeah.
led to the change on the other side of the road. This seems pretty similar to me.
Yeah,
I appreciate the situation
yeah.
that franchise dealerships are in.
Nick?
I already asked my question, expressed my concern.
Let me confer with Jeff here.
I have the case from 13 that I can pull up and read if you guys need it. A synopsis.
It's a Banks Chevrolet one, I think that we're,
Pardon?
it's a Banks Chevrolet case that we're really talking about.
That's the one with the city council did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one that was within the last couple of years.
That was, this one was.
Yeah, I think we need a little bit more time to look into that Banks Chevrolet case, see about the merger possibility, and probably see what else we can bring to you next month.
Now, if we adjourn the case and you change the application, Ernie, where does that leave us? Do we have to renotice it?
It would have to be
Yeah,
renoticed,
if we
yeah.
just continue it, if we continue the case.
But if we continue it and they come back with essentially a different presentation,
Well, if we're seeking the same relief, but if we provide supplementary information, and you have continued it tonight to a date and time certain, it shouldn't need to be renoticed.
Unless the variance requests are changing. They're
Right.
just bringing us new info.
Exactly, if they're not changing the variance request, which is what I thought the question was, then it
Yeah.
okay,
would be
Yeah.
continuation.
all right.
Should we act on any of the variance requests, or should we just wait to act on all
Maybe
four?
what we should do is table the whole thing.
Yeah.
We can table it and take it up anytime. Doesn't have to be a date certain.
Just as a point of information, so you know, we will be here next month anyway. You want to show them?
Well, we have the same issue, the exact same issue.
No, we don't. It's not the exact same issue. It'll be,
Similar issue.
it'll be easier
with
next
This
month.
piece here, which wants to be used in the industrial zone, so we just submitted a variance application for this piece also, so.
Requesting all the same exact variances, except the good news there is that parcel is being merged. So that one,
We don't want to get into a discussion of that one yet.
I know, just as a preview, we will be seeing you next month regardless on that
We look
one.
forward to that.
Great, likewise.
Can I make a motion that we continue the case?
No, let's go through and find out if there's anybody here who
Oh.
wants to be heard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in favor of this appeal or in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, any more comments from code enforcement?
No, sir.
All right, in that case, we'll close the public testimony portion of the hearing with the provision that we can reopen it when we reopen the case. Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The case is tabled until such time as the board elects to take it up off the table, which we will do at the request of the appellant.
Thank you.
And move to approve last month's minutes.
Is there a second?
Second. Rose did a great job. That was a doozy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Distance.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Nobody said
All in
seconded.
favor?
Second.
Second in favor of anything around here.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll keep the case for.
Yeah, keep
the
all your
paperwork.
paperwork, keep all the paperwork.
Okay, okay.